Wärtsilä, they are not only gold sponsors to DSM 22. They are a global leader in innovative technologies and lifestyle solutions for the marine and energy markets. And we heard them before here at on stage talking about harnessing new technologies to unlock shipping's potential. Now we're going to listen to Wärtsilä again, and now about decarbonization. You will be listening to Roger Holm, who has been a part of Wärtsilä since 25 years, bringing passion and engagement into numerous top management positions within service and marine business. Please welcome with a big hand, Roger Holm.
Thank you everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining still today and once more to talk about decarbonization. Not for the first time today and probably not the last either. I was here in 2019 and then we talked a lot about decarbonization. But I think the big change that has happened in a very short time is the talk about future fuels. That was much less on the agenda in 2019. We were talking about efficiency improvements, we were talking about changes in the total ecosystem. But the big change since 2019 is definitely a lot about the future fuels. And we have heard many comments about that earlier today as well, and we will come back to it still during the session today. If we look at the discussions we have in all shipping segments today, with customers in all parts of the world, it's impossible to have a customer session without talking about future fuels and decarbonization. And it comes with two parts of the discussion. One is how to future-proof your existing fleet. What can you do to make sure that you connect to the CII curve that is coming up? And the second thing is, how do I future-proof my new builds? How do you create maximum flexibility in your new vessels? And there are two things here that combine. How do you connect the financial viability with the decarbonization? Because this will be the key issue. Maybe in the past you could look at, say, let's wait, and then you do as late as possible. This will not be feasible anymore. You will need to find the right balance. How do you balance the financial viability, not to be too late, not to be too early, with the fact that you are on the correct decarbonization curve? This is what we are doing today with many, even customers that we usually haven't done business with. We do fleet analysis. We look at what would be the way to keep the fleet, the vessels, on the correct CII curve for the next 10 plus years. That's the one part. And the other part is then how do we create maximum flexibility for any new build in the pipeline? Because there you talk about the asset value of your future vessels. How do you maximize the asset value during the life cycle of the vessel? One thing is clear. We are moving from a fairly one-fuel environment to a multi-fuel environment. Then we can debate, and there are a lot of viewpoints, what will be the future fuels. But I think one thing that is clear is that we will see a much more different diversity in the fuel setup in the shipping world to go. And all of this will happen during one shipping lifetime. So if you look at the fuel development, this is the 1.5 degree scenario that we see here. What we will see is LNG will play still a big role in this scenario. But what we will also see here coming back to the financial viability is the blending. No one will move from 0 to 1 on green fuels because you can't afford it. It's a financial issue. So we will start to see more and more blending of new fuels coming in. And this is what we see in the middle of this picture here. And then we will see carbon neutral and zero carbon fuels coming more in towards the end of this time period. But this is all within one vessel lifetime. This is a speed that we have never ever seen before. It will be an enormous change for anyone in shipping. And you could say we are already too late on that pathway because the key issue is here that how quickly will you get the green fuels available for this to actually happen. The good thing with the engine technology is here you have the flexibility. You can look at drop-in fuels, you can look at blending, and then you can make the financial viability to match with the decarbonization. So step by step you do things so that you keep on the right curve of development. And then in the future, you might also do engine conversions. You don't need to change the whole engine. You change certain parts of the engine, the top parts of it, usually related to the cylinders and the fuel injection. Which means that when you buy a new engine today, you create the flexibility for the future, also for the green fuels. The key here will be, which we discuss with quite a lot of customers today, how can you prepare the vessel, the tank systems, etc., for the future fuels as much as possible? Because that will be then much cheaper to convert later on during the lifetime. So we have customers saying that, hey, I might go for LNG now, I prepare for methanol tanks, and I want to upgrade maybe first or second big dry dock you convert to methanol. That could be a feasible path to make sure that you are as future-proof as possible. So the key here is to make sure that you are as flexible as possible in this setup. Then where are we with the technology development on the future fuels, the green fuels? I would claim the technology is not going to be the issue. The engines will work on the green fuels. A much bigger issue will be, will you get the green fuels? Can you get them in the quantities you need? And now we have a chicken and egg issue here, clearly. And what we have done, which is totally contradictory to what we have done before, because in the past years when we developed an engine, it was the biggest secret of the company. It was happening within closed doors, and then we came out and said, tada, this is what we have. What we have done now is we are actually talking about which fuels and which engines we are going to come out up to 25 even. Because we want to create a situation where we don't come out with a new engine with the future green fuels and there is no fuel available. So this is how we can connect then to make sure that we walk hand in hand with the future fuel availability. And for sure it will still be a chicken and egg thing, but here is our task to try to play a role in that one, to say that what are we going to develop and when will it be available. Then when we talk about the development, we have different stages. In the mid you see here the technology development or the concept development, to say that now we know exactly how to do a specific fuel. That we apply then to a specific engine technology and say now we industrialize this engine type based on this technology. So let's have a look a bit where are we with the different fuel. We start with methanol. This is the one we know the best. We have been even running with our friends at Stena since 2015 on a conversion of Stena Germanica. So this is nothing new for us. We know how methanol operates. We have also developed the technology, and this year we launched the 32 engine, which is a proven Wärtsilä technology to run on methanol. So now we have also ready for new build projects, and we have sold the first 32 methanol to Van Oord's wind turbine installation vessel. And the engine will be delivered in early next year. So this is already happening. We have products available and more products will follow on methanol. So you can say this is kind of start to be a normal business as we speak. Key issue coming back to this, that future green fuels needs to be available. Ammonia. Then that was not running on ammonia, at least no. Ammonia we have started testing already last year. We have been running an engine already last year on a blend between standard liquid fuels and ammonia. And we are developing the ammonia concept. Should I wait for them to gear up? Or I might continue. So we have said we will have the ammonia concept, the technology ready in 23, and then we will have the first deliveries in 24, and then it depends on the ammonia ramp up in the market, that which engine types and how quickly we will move in the market. But this is coming. So this is still under technology testing, but we know we will get it to work. So I'm not worried about the technology itself. It's more about other things than on the vessel and the fuel availability. We are also doing hydrogen. You could say that for shipping only should we do it, which is a good question. The same engines we use also for land-based power plants. And this is an absolute must for our land-based installations. So this means that we are also developing hydrogen engines. Today we can do blending between hydrogen and LNG, and we are developing have a concept ready in 25, mostly for the land-based market. But if we would see that this would also be a need in maritime, we will have the technology ready. The key challenge here, especially if you need to store the hydrogen on board, you will have the same space issue as you have with batteries. So if you take compressed hydrogen, you are close to 20 times the space of what you use for today's fuels. So maybe not a big solution in shipping, but still the technology will be there. A few weeks back, we wanted to show that we are serious when we talk about decarbonization. We inaugurated our sustainable technology hub in Vaasa, Finland. We have invested close to 250 million euros in this facility. And this is the future state of art related to decarbonization of both maritime and energy. So what do we do here? It's not just about a factory producing engines, it's much more than that. It's about an ecosystem collaboration where we collaborate with universities, customers, other stakeholders in the hub, where we even have spaces for stakeholders to join us. They can do testing in our facilities and then see that where is this taking us. Creating a hub where we can do collaboration across different organizations. Because decarbonization is a lot about collaboration in the ecosystem. No one can do this alone. We can't do it alone. No one else can do it alone. It's all about collaborating, because we might have the nicest engine running on the best of the green fuels, but if the fuels are not available, if it's not existing in the market, this will not happen. It's about the chicken and egg thing, how to get this to happen. And this is our way to show that we are serious about this one. This is where we will have the fuel labs. This is where we do the different testing of the technologies, and this is where we talk about collaborating in the ecosystem. This is also where we will deliver then the first 32 methanol engine will come from here. I already mentioned that one, but what we have also recently launched is our new big large bore engine, the 46 two-stage, which is the best-in-class fuel efficiency and also flexibility for future fuel. And we have already sold this one to the first cruise vessel. So this will be installed for the Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas, which is the 6th ship of the largest cruise ship series in the world. So this is being built at Chantiers de Atlantique in France. And this will be then to take the next step for large bore installations of our engines. So a lot of things happening on the fuel and engine development. Then what we are really proud of is the collaboration what we have with Wärtsilä. And Aurora Botnia has received a lot of awards during both last year and this year. And for us, it's a perfect testing laboratory. When you come to the harbor in Vaasa, you see our STH facility. So you can walk from the ferry to our new facilities in Vaasa. So this is the ferry going between Vaasa in Finland and Umeå in Sweden. And it's perfect for us to test new technology. So we are using this at the same time as it's a ferry in commercial operations. For us, it's a testing laboratory at the same time. And we have a lot of Wärtsilä equipment on this ferry, plus a 10-year agreement where we are supporting Wärtsilä on this one. So it's perfect for us for developing the equipment that we have on board. But to remember, this can also be extremely local. We have a lot of front runners going forward here, and I just picked two examples here with Furetank and Donsötank, where they have showed that you can move already towards the 2050 targets. It's again, taking a lot of collaboration. This is not just about the equipment, it's about the ship design, how you utilize it and how you can collaborate even from the beginning of the project. And these are excellent examples where you can see that the 2050 targets is something that can be done, and it can be done in a way where you actually are positively developing your business at the same time, and this is the key. We also do a lot, and we see a big development of the life cycle support due to the demands for more efficiency, due to the demands of future fuel, and to some extent the complexity. And what we know, what we can show already, is that we can, by partnering together, we can create more efficiency. In the future fuels, we can say that the new fuels will be 3 to 5 times more expensive. That we can debate, but we know it will be more expensive. So the efficiency, how you operate this, will be more and more important. Jörgen Strandberg talked earlier about how we can use data and connectivity to do this. And this is also about how do we support the customers then during the life cycle of the vessel. I have 3 examples here. We have already shown, we have cases on a cruise fleet where we have taken down the fuel consumption with more than 2%. Unscheduled maintenance cost, heavy reduction on LNG carriers. And by looking at time between overhauls, that you can minimize the downtime in operations. All of this can be done by partnering together and looking on what we can do. So to conclude, when we were here in 2019, we talked a lot about decarbonization. I don't think anyone could then have expected where we would be today. That the development since just the last 3 years has been enormous. Having said that, we are still late. If we want to meet the 2050 target, we need to work a lot together as the ecosystem to make this happen. And the key will be here, how can we make sure that we combine the financial viability with the decarbonization development? Because decarbonization is not just about meeting something that will reduce the emissions, it's also about staying in business when we do that. And this will be the key where you need to look at the total picture. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much, Roger. A question: how do you look upon the use of hydrogen? You say hydrogen?
Hydrogen. Yes.
In ships.
I think pure hydrogen will be challenging, and pure reason being it takes too much space. So if you go compressed hydrogen, you are almost 20 times existing fuels. If you go then into liquid form, you're still 7 to 8 times more space needed for it. So it will be a challenge from a space perspective. That's why we see much more happening on ammonia and methanol.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned this ammonia concept. What do you mean when you have communicated that you will have an ammonia concept ready in 2023? You said?
Yes. And that means we know the technology. We have tested and developed the technology, and we know which technology to use. After that, the productization will commence, and that means that in 24 we will have the first engines for delivery.
Mm-hmm. So what do you find are the key issues facing the future of shipping?
I think in the big picture is really a lot to help the uncertainty and make this as future-proof as possible, because that will be the challenge, that how do we make, no one can, if someone claims they know what the future fuel will be, I wouldn't believe them. There is a lot of viewpoints, and the key will be how to make it as flexible as possible.
Yes. It's a collaboration, it's a together project, all of this.
Exactly.
You said you were here 2019. You are here now. What are you going to talk about next time?
Then I think we will see a lot of proof points already happening on the future fuel, and I hope we will then see clear availability on green fuels in the market.
Thank you so much, Roger Holm, Wärtsilä, gold sponsor, Dunsu Shipping Me 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you.